on, gentlemen.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Niagara Voices. I'm Johnny Campanella here with my special guest host, John Restaino.
Hey.
How you doing?
I'm good. Can you hear me?
All
right.
Yeah, I believe yeah.
Okay.
I'm not sure
All
if
right,
it's.
no.
I think we're good.
All right. Happy to be here. Of course, I enjoyed myself the last time I was here.
Yes,
so thank
just
you
2
for
weeks
asking me
ago.
back.
Of course, no problem. Yeah, and today it's very exciting. We have a special guest with us.
Yes.
Yes. Did you want to?
Oh, sure. I'll introduce him. We do have a special guest. You've seen him on Facebook a lot. Got a lot of really good ideas. I can't wait to talk to him. Blake Lemoi. How you doing?
Hey, guys.
Thank you for being here
Yeah,
today.
thank you.
No, thank you. Excited.
Well, I'm in the studio too.
Oh, Peter.
And
hey,
of course
Peter.
we have-
Yeah,
Well,
I'm
you
here
can't-
with.
There's no studio without Peter.
Right.
Well, no, there is,
We
but
have
it's
the
quieter.
Yeah, it's closed.
The Mystic Peter over here that helps.
Yeah, they call me the Mystic. Blake, it's great to have you here.
Yep.
And it is Johnny and John's show. There's no mic. Pardon me. There's no camera over here because I'm working with one of our superstar Yawawa youth here. Ethan's going to be doing the switching on the cameras tonight, and he is Blake's son, and he's in the studio, and he's in 6th grade. Is that correct? Yep. And his daughter Kelsey is here, who is going to be a superstar in musical theater, and she's a freshman in Medina High School. So you won't see them, but they're here in studio. And we're going to turn the show over to you now, Johnny, and I'm going to kill this mic and start getting Ethan showing everybody who's who.
Yeah. So yeah, it was, like I was gonna say that I wanted to thank Dante for being a part of the show. I know he's doing his amazing show on Saturdays at 5. So make sure to check that out. But yeah, so today we have our special guest, Blake, and I wanted to get into the topic of what you've come up with and done in Niagara Falls. I know you wanted to add.
Well, no, I'm looking at the background. That's Seattle.
Oh, yeah.
Blake. We got to figure out where Blake has been, what he is, all
And why
that
is
stuff.
it
We got to
there,
figure
yeah.
out who he is. You know what I mean? Think
Exactly.
about it. We got to introduce him, let him tell us his story
I want
because
to know.
it's a great story.
Yes,
and I want to hear
I'm
it.
really, really excited. So
Blake, let us know why. First of all, why is Seattle behind you, and then you can go on.
I'm sure everyone knows the town that you're born in, your hometown, is always has a place in your heart.
Right.
So I had the opportunity. I grew up in Seattle in the 80s and the 90s, left in 2001, came to Western New York. So beautiful Seattle. When I was born, it was a lost lumber town, and now it's tech mecca to the world in some cases.
And you got a hockey team now.
Yes,
The Kraken.
we're going pro, right?
Yeah, I know. Holy
Yeah,
cow.
Finally, bringing on the Krakens.
Yeah, that's great. I love the name. And I love the color there because it's all, it's the Emerald City?
Yeah.
Whatever. I love the green.
Emerald City,
You like that, don't you, Johnny?
Yeah, I
it's
love
green.
green. Yeah,
I
yeah.
want to go there someday.
Me too.
Beautiful. Out west. Oh, man.
yeah,
I'd like to go to
I
British
mean-
Columbia. You've been there, right, Blake? Have you been up to Vancouver and stuff?
Vancouver,
it must have been,
Whistler, Seattle, Portland. I tell you, if you've never been to the West Coast, it's
I wanna
a
go
different part of the world. It's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah, I really want to go to British Columbia.
I got family in California, and I've wanted to visit forever because I said I even wanted to live there. But I think I would live there for a bit and try my, try my luck with public communications and doing something like that. And then, I don't know if that would be it. I wouldn't live in Los Angeles. I would always want to live outside.
No doubt about Blake is right. I mean, I know I've spent quite a bit of time down in like Tennessee and stuff when I was younger, and it's a different world when you get out of here.
Oh, yeah.
It's such a different world. We were talking about this earlier. We're just we're in a different place than everybody else. And there's the number. My number is, our number is 80, right? I'm using my phone. It's 804-1229, 804-1229-716. But what I was saying is, like,
We're in the past. We're still in the past, our
yeah,
city.
Yeah, but we're just, I don't know. And it's not just us.
No.
Blake, it's not just us. It's a lot in the Rust Belt type, right? You know what I mean? It's just, we're
It
stuck.
is. Yeah. I mean, go 2 hours away from Seattle, where my mom is, right by the Canadian border, and it's very rural, it's very farm, and there's still a lot of people that haven't adapted to digital, hours away from one of the meccas of America. So it's no different. It's just the momentum here is different, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you mean?
A lot slower.
Yeah. Well, no. Tell me, Blake, what is just elaborate on that a little bit. The momentum.
Yeah. So, growing up in Seattle in the 80s and the 90s, along with grunge rock and Amazon and Microsoft and Starbucks, like my mindset, I was thrust into a world of change and growth and hypergrowth. I spent 6 years in Albion, New York, Western New York, and then went down to San Antonio. 60 people a day have been moving there for the past decade, just like in the South, Nashville and that. So here, you know, and data doesn't lie, and I let data do its story. I don't think we've had positive population increase overall since the 60s.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, if you know, we're losing 60 people a day. Who knows what's going on here?
I mean, and something we brought up was about how I know growing up, I always heard that, you know, I mean, if you look at, you know, old Turner Classic Movies, I said my mom's an old school movie buff. She looks, you know, she watches them and all they talk about is Niagara Falls as the the honeymoon destination. It's always Niagara Falls. Yeah. And then I know that I've always been told after the factories left that our city went to where it is now. And I've always wanted to know more of why did they leave? Why did the industry leave?
Well, Blake,
if you knew that.
No, Blake knows.
This is to Blake,
Blake,
yeah.
let us know. Yeah, because we've never, still haven't understood where we are.
Well, we're in a very interesting year in 2020 because I think we're pivoting past the reason why Seattle and San Francisco are great. In the late 60s, silicon chips became the new manufacturing norm, and it was cheaper to outsource steel to China. And all of our factories left. That tipping point was the late 60s, and it was no denying it. Well, in the 70s and the 80s, the Silicon Valley, IBM, and you know everyone knows Silicon Valley and San Francisco, chip manufacturing started taking over the world. Well, now 30 years past that is now 2020, and we're now in another shift in the way people work, the way people live, the way we now have a couple generations of digitally native people that, you know, podcasts and stuff that we have now, we can connect with the world instantly. So I think we failed to adapt, we failed to change, and we're now we're reaping some of those repercussions because we have yet to hyper change and hyper grow.
Well, you know, I'd always, growing up here, I grew up here. We might be close to the same age, Blake. I'm not sure. I'm 49, so yeah, we're in the same group. But I mean, like here, being that I've never left, I've just visited places. I've lived here.
Yeah.
We've always been told about NAFTA. We've always been told about, you know, the factories leaving, and I mean, there's nothing else. We have nothing else. That's it.
It just
They're
goes
gone.
We have nothing else but
has,
factories.
Yeah, and if they're gone, then we have to be a tourist town, and that's all for us. You know, service industry type things. And
tourism and service are great, but I mean, look at if anyone drives a newer Toyota Tundra, they should understand that they've been built in San Antonio, Texas. BMWs and Hondas are being built in the South.
Yeah,
the factories haven't left America; they left the Rust Belt.
Right,
and they're in fact coming back to Detroit and coming back to the Ohio area because it's beneficial, along with Black & Decker and a few of these other factories that are having mass expansion in the U.S. But, you know, there's only one factory here that everyone knows, and it was basically gifted. It wasn't here by choice.
Right.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jen.
It's just, I mean, like and I always thought like a great idea would be to get rid of, just like, deconstruct all of the factories and somehow make that land, I guess, usable again for something else. But for tourism, I feel like we really are missing out on really being financially helped out by our tourism, because if you look at our side and then the Canadian border, we really could have, our Main Street at one point was a big deal. We could have really, went up.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry to cut you.
No,
but
you're fine.
I was just thinking about just recently, and I can't remember the names. I wish I'd be more prepared right now, but it was someone just recently bought all of Main Street. Like,
I heard.
We don't know what's gonna. I have no idea what I don't know the plan, but he took all of it over. I mean, a lot of those buildings, if you look at them, there's a drone flew over. Yep. I mean, it's just caved in.
Oh, right. Like, is he gonna just leave it like that and
no,
get, or is he gonna?
So.
I hope.
I don't. Well, yeah. Go ahead, Blake.
Well. So I see massive potential here. Like, I don't want to focus too much on the past because I think, as we all can tell, a lot of us here, focus on the past
Yeah.
instead of just looking at the future. We have a lot of infrastructure that's ready to be used. We don't have a lot of entrepreneurs and businesses using it because the price, position, whatever's not right. It's right across the lake. Toronto's the fastest growing AI city in the world. But here we're one of the slowest. So we need a thriving art community. We need a thriving entrepreneur community. Actually, Tech Block, you can see.
There it is.
We actually created this advocacy group in San Antonio because San Antonio identified years ago that they were losing jobs to Austin, an hour north, and Seattle and San Francisco. So here, I don't want to knock the efforts, but we can't have tax-infused, university-funded innovation. We need community innovation, community involvement, and we have unfortunately a lot of divided tribes in Western New York.
716-804-1229 is your number if you wish to get in touch with us. And Blake, also, Johnny, you're checking the Facebook if there's anything going on there, and we'll check out.
Kevin Hutchinson said he misses going to Canada, or I can't believe even that option is crazy that we don't have it.
We miss Canada too. I mean, we miss Canada dearly.
I know.
But we don't even have the option, and I don't think it's coming back. I doubt that option's going to happen till 2021. I don't think they're ever going to stop.
Oh yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, what about that video? There was a video I saw, and it was about 3 or 4 nights ago, and every news station around basically the world, the country, was saying that they have new this afternoon, exactly said the same way, that there's 33 new cases of COVID in their particular state. That someone did a video and then literally put every single city and state that said it, and I'm like, what? Okay, come on, like that literally seems like someone called all the news stations and said, hey, this is the news, report this.
Wow.
That whole. Where do we, and how are they going to conflate like people who get the flu with, COVID? I feel like everything, just like it's been almost under the sun, they're going to say was a COVID death,
That's definitely a rabbit hole of questions when, being from Seattle, living in Texas, and now being here, I watch all 3 of these cities. And I see a repeating message that's not the real story. Mm-hmm. And it's getting more and more apparent every single day. Yeah,
and that's why I think I have such a hard time when people don't understand that, and I'm just like, it's almost like common sense at this point. If you can't catch on to this, then you're just watching what's on TV. People got to do their own independent. I mean, as like a journalist major, but you got to check out other sources, look at both sides, and then find somewhere in the middle. I always say, but that's one issue we have. But some other things, is that we always want community. We want our community to grow together. At Yowawa Media, I feel like every one of our shows is about coming together and speaking out and using this platform to talk. So please, if you want to say anything or have questions, call in if you really are, passionate.
Yeah. No, people should be listening, and I just met Blake, but I've talked to him a lot, quite a bit on Facebook and stuff. Yeah. But you have a different, and you are from here, but you're not, and you can tell by how you talk. Because I might be somebody who wants, I definitely want things to get better, but I'm stuck. I'm stuck always talking about. I know the whole history, but I guess we're at the point where the heck with it. I mean, really, it's not helping me knowing the history of. The failure. I mean, it's failure.
Yeah, there's nothing to take.
There's a lot of great history. I mean,
right.
The Tesla and Edison are here. The electricity, the City of Lights, and I don't want to knock Buffalo, but I could care less about the Bills, Wings, Beef on Wick. Like, let's talk about we were the innovation center of America for a large portion of the manufacturing era.
No, yeah, I know. And here in Niagara Falls, we're just. God, I mean, I know I have the mentality. I've been here my whole life. You have. You said it before, Blake. I mean, you've said this, and you were right. It's just, well, first of all, we're scared of AI right here. I mean, we're literally petrified of it. When they see all of it, we're just scared. We're scared to death of it.
Change is hard.
Yeah.
That you need.
Resistance is easy.
Yeah. Right. We lack you have to become uncomfortable for change to happen. I know that. Myself personally, I struggle with that all the time, but we need that as a collective. We need to be uncomfortable for good change, for any type of change, instead of staying here. and everybody's just kind of in this mindset of I feel like we're all in the same boat in a sense, even though if we live in different neighborhoods, but in the sense of our overall city of Niagara Falls.
It's almost in corporate America you call it satisficing. You're okay with the C answer.
Yeah.
And growing up in cities that weren't okay with mediocrity, I mean, I've seen where this city was, and I've seen where it's changed, and there are some progress. There is some growth. I remember Niagara Falls before a casino, and I've come back after, and honestly, I don't think that helped anything.
No.
We need we need to start feeding the people that are here, and we need to start teaching the people that are here how to fish better.
Yeah.
We need to stop looking at charities giving handouts and start using charity and nonprofit as education. I mean, if everyone learned how to build websites and code, we would have companies out here not caring about what obstacle they needed to overcome because the skill set is here. There's for every one tech job right now, in programming and in some of these, there's over 1,000 companies searching for them. I know a handful of people in Western New York that work for Amazon and work for big companies that are getting paid West Coast money living in Western New York. They love it here. They love it.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Go ahead, John.
I know. I just think, it's like it's even almost news to me that that's such a possibility, and it's happening where people are getting, like you said, paid California money over here. Right now I've been unemployed for some, just like personal things I'm dealing with, but like, I mean, I'm an artist, and I also love music, and there's, my career, of course, is one of. That's going to take a while. I really want to do big things, but, of course, everybody's like, well, you need a job. You just need a normal job, at least for now. But, like, I've always, the normal, like, at a restaurant or at a clothing store. I've always been interested in, like, tech, finding a new way. And I realize that it is our city's behind in that because that's not even an option, really. That's not even talked about, even when I was in high school or college. You know what I mean? So I love hearing what your wisdom on this because it's very insightful.
One of the things that I really feel like I'm here because of my kids. I came back. They were relocated here, so for me that was the most important. I didn't come here for economic growth. I didn't come here for prosperity. But that is going to bring me economic growth and prosperity because I have a single mission. And my mission is to make sure that my kids have the same opportunity that I had in Seattle 40 years ago in Western New York, and that doesn't exist here.
No.
No.
The tech colleges, the transition, computers and there are things that I had 40 years ago in private or public school that some private schools don't even have in Western New York here.
Yeah. We both went.
It's insane. It breaks my heart. And, I want to show people both personal and business growth through digital technology data. It's not that hard. I mean, I don't know how to start a podcast. So guess what, guys? Hi.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, no.
And I appreciate it.
Blake, let me ask you something else because I always do, my show's all politics and stuff. Yeah. So I just wanted to ask you this. How did you deal, like in all those places you've been, what's the climate of politics like there? Like you're talking about San Antonio and stuff like that. Seattle.
Yep.
Here, we know, the climate, especially like Niagara Falls, Lockport, whatever, all the places.
Yeah.
What was it like? I mean, because I know here I don't know. Go ahead. Tell me.
No, that's an awesome question because the obstacles exist in the variables are the same. There's certain people in control, certain families, like it's all like every niche. But one of the weirdest things here is the people that are okay with, just having bread.
Right.
And then also the thiefdoms, the mighty little silos. So, I think the only way that Western New York, and this is what Tech Block did, let me get that back. Which way can I go? This way.
There you go.
It was a technology advocacy group.
Right.
And we copied Seattle, we copied San Francisco, we copied Austin because a certain amount of people, and yes, a couple of these people had financial backing and weren't political. So yes, there was, there's fortunately fuel that's required.
Right.
We need to find innovative, visionary leaders that want true change and want to break through the political crap. I mean, we all see it. I don't understand it. I don't understand it, but we need more people to raise a voice like you guys are doing.
No, thanks. Yeah, and you too. I mean, the other question I have for you is, maybe I want to see if you agree with this or not. Part of my show is talking about you can have all you want. I remember here one time before the Rainbow Mall was built, we had the Germazian brothers came here, and those are the guys that built the Mall of America in Minneapolis. We ran them out of town here. We didn't want anything to do with them. We told them to get lost, or it was.
I love the Rainbow Mall.
Yeah, well, but you saw what happened to it. I mean, I loved it too.
We would go. You were allowed to as a citizen. I think we would go into it, and it was closed down. You could still go into it and literally be in there for. This was a few years. We'd go for fun and run around there.
It's a shame, and it could have been standing there. But
it could have been made into.
We've run people out of town a lot here. We've done it. The only one we didn't was the Senecas. Although I don't think we had a choice anyway.
They were here first.
Yeah, they were here first, right? So we couldn't say nothing. But I remember when Donald Trump came here. I remember that in 90. Oh God!
Shame on that.
96 or something. And we tossed him out. They called him a snake oil salesman.
Didn't we just run out Amazon?
Yes, you were talking about. Yeah, what did you know? You said you were talking to someone about this.
We'll leave pure speculation.
Okay.
That's fine.
Look at the property that they were choosing, and why would they choose a corner of Grand Island? Why? These guys are sitting on $270 billion of cash. They call it Project Olive Branch, where if you know anything about sign symbolism, the olive branch is an international sign of peace and treaty.
Right.
And they go and set up and they look for a piece of property that's right next to Navy Island and is an easy bridge right across to the fastest growing metro area of all of North America, Toronto. So they specifically say to Grand Island, we're not building the same old warehouse, we're building higher end jobs, we're doing this. And at the last ditch effort, they even offered Grand Island $10 million for a workforce development, and our ego said we don't want semi-trucks crossing a bridge. And I almost want to say, look people, they'll build a new bridge. This company is 30 years old. It's one of the most valuable companies. It's made one of the most amount of millionaires besides Apple, and we're still over here resisting. That could have been the tipping point of change, and that's unfortunately I've seen as a common story as more people get ran out here, and then that brings me back to so who's really intentionally doing this?
Why are we running out all these opportunities that would help and flourish everybody, even the people in control of our city?
It's going to shift power. It's going to shift control.
Right. It's just, and these people, the people in control are also, like you said, how people are just fine with being just getting bread, just getting by. Yeah. Well, so are the people in control. And that's, you always need almost like a progressive, people that want to keep making where they're at better and better. Wouldn't you, if you had the control, you know what I mean? I would. If I had control of a city, I would want it to just get better and have the most opportunities.
Yeah, in this city right now, we got such. We just had. I don't know. God forbid the person who got shot on 20th Street today, 22nd Street. If that's a homicide, that's number 13, and we had 8. Was our in 1985? That was our record 8. We've shattered it. I hope to God it wasn't, but right now we're sitting at 12. Yep. So we have, we have a lot of work to do here. We've never really, ever here in this little city came to terms with anything. It's just, we've just always, we're the Buffalo Bills type fan. We're just woe is me types, and we move on and we say, I hate, whatever. And we've never came to terms, Johnny, and I know Blake knows that too, with everything that happened. Love Canal, with everything. We just never have done that.
Right.
We were talking about Love Canal earlier.
Yeah.
And
I did a paper on that, and it's never been, and that still has never been fully ended either. I know it's way past the time where they're supposed to go back in and basically with new technology, fix the caps, because I know it's dated on the news that chemicals are leaking out again more than in just Love Canal area. So it's spreading throughout the cities around, and I would always think maybe that's why people don't want to become a part of our city, but I know that that's just not. It's just one of the many things that people are not coming to terms with, and just saying, I
wasn't aware until after I moved here, the cancer and the health rates and the pollution. Yeah. So that didn't.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well, what
no,
I was
yeah.
saying about a friend of I think one of my cousin's friends, asked them like, why do you keep, why are so many people dying from Niagara Falls, and it took that person realized like, wow, maybe it could be because of the the pollution going on, because the people from California that had lived in California their whole life were like. Yeah, I've never seen so many. I've never heard of or known someone's to know so many people that are dying constantly of cancer, especially.
Yep.
And I mean, that just made me think that. I think what's her name actually said that. Someone who was a part of the first.
I'd be interested to understand some environmental and some studies around that, but really, like, honestly, the root cause problem is lack of opportunity for my children, for me as my business, for me as a career. And the only way to create those opportunities is to go back to, we need a walkable Main Street. Mm-hmm. That walkable Main Street needs to have thriving tourism, because tourism is new revolving money. And granted, we now are faced with a whole new challenge in tourism with this pandemic, but local tourism from a few hour drive still isn't even being tapped into here. Staycations and stuff. Like, it's the complacency with still being deers in headlights, like March is going to change. From March, I saw an indicator that thrust me into a massive like action now. And I've had the most prosperous 6-7 months of my life while being on unemployment. Because of the lessons that I learned financially and emotionally and mentally, because if I wasn't prepared, I may have gone through a depression again. I may have gone through some panic again. I may have spent money in the wrong ways or the wrong spots. But when you study indicators and when you see things happening, like in history, we're in a shift right now. And Western New York is in a great position. If we lower some of the barriers of business and for people to succeed here.
Right. I'm going to read a comment.
Okay, yeah.
Kate Donahue.
Oh, Kate.
Yep, here's a comment. The people in control don't want people to think they can depend on themselves by having opportunity. They want the people dependent on them. Yes.
That's the scheme. That's
yes, absolutely, yes.
Go ahead. I just wanted to reiterate what I was saying. I mean, I just wanted to say that it was Lois Gibbs who is the woman for the Love Canal Homeowners Association, and how she made a big deal when she was living here, but then after that, it's kind of like it just ended when she left, and that got at that point, right?
And we have such a high MS rate here. The MS. Yeah. I mean, it took my father-in-law. I mean, it's unbelievable.
That needs. That's why I wanted to reiterate, because I feel like that's something that we need to focus on as one of the top 5s, because it's like, if we don't have health, how are we going to maintain businesses and do so good?
Body, and spirit.
Right. It all counts and it matters. And if we can't even get through life without having all these illnesses or things hold us back, it's going to stop us from. Maybe that could be a part of it. Like, it's stopping us from wanting or having the energy to actually change and do something about it.
We
too.
all need therapy here.
Yeah.
I mean, we really do, because there's the depression. Is insane.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
especially when
the anxiety is running wild here, because listen to what Blake did. Blake made money when he was unemployed. He made money.
Right.
And we're not. We don't. And then the anxiety, the depression, you get panic. There's panic attacks.
I'm not exempt to it.
Right.
But you did something.
I mean, this gray hair was caused because of divorce and financial and all sorts of crazy stories.
Right.
But when I grew up in change, I've lived change. Some weird thing, I might be a thrill junkie on, like, okay, where's my next change? But here, and just in general, people don't like to change careers. They don't like to change houses. They don't like to change because change is hard. Mm-hmm. But change is where growth happens. And if you're not changing, you're not growing. And I think that's the mindset that we've had, is we need to now we need to grab the bull by the horns here, and we need to just say, look, this pandemic has forced a 30-year resistance that now we need to go into digital technology. I love to see the medical centers, but look at the medical centers in other cities. Like they're a feeder ground for massive growth. There's not poverty right next door to it.
Right. And our idea, unfortunately, back to the past just for a second on Main Street, to fix Main Street was a police station. That cost a ton of, was
Give
incredible.
one of our millionaires a grant to redevelop something.
And then I got to hit this real quick because I can't help it. But then that guy who did that gets, after he gets taken out of, he leaves, whatever, he's not in office no more. We find out he did quid pro quo stuff with Joe Anderson, $120,000 worth of checks, and he gives them the contract for being an electrician. Now, he doesn't get charged he gets charged, but they let him go because also he was stealing from his pension fund. So he had to then, he took that plea.
Yeah.
And that guy has a radio show now to talk about good government, and people listen.
Awesome.
They listen to him. I
believe we brought him up once before, I think, but
I can't take it because that is a slap in
everyone's face.
It should be. And these and they're watching and this guy's he says I'm gonna teach the masses.
On your stool of gold.
You're gonna teach the masses how to. I don't know what else, but either way, that's the past that I got to get out of. I do, Blake. I've got to get out of talking about what.
Well, we have to understand the past.
Yeah, we do have to.
The past and the analytics and the data, that's the most important thing to understand that a lot of people don't. So the fact that you're telling the history, but the history that we need to understand is why can't Buffalo be the way, or why can't Niagara Falls be the way it was 100 years ago? This was the place to be if you had a company, if you wanted to be a manufacturer, if you wanted, this was the Silicon Valley of the late 18 and early 1900s. It shifted to San Francisco and Seattle, and guess what? Now it's so expensive over there. We have an opportunity. We have massive infrastructure, but we have to let go of some control. And like Lockport, where I moved, like Niagara Falls here, why aren't we giving away things and saying, look, if you're going to create jobs, if you're going to create this like Empire Development and Launch New York and 43 North, if I'm a part of those, I can be an employee in a company that's tax-free for 10 years.
Right.
Why can't we just extend that to everyone? A special economic zone? Look at Hong Kong. Look at Dubai. Look at what Tel Aviv did in 20 years. Secret sauce, special economic zone. It's basically a tax-free zone because we've been hit so hard. And if we do economic studies, this area, Niagara Falls, Buffalo, Rochester, this is prime for a tax-free zone for the next 10, 15 years to just hyper grow. The infrastructure that already exists that could turn us into manufacturing 4.0, IoT.
I know.
Yeah.
Could.
You said this earlier, Blake, and I'm going to have to say it again. Our closeness to the border, right there, Toronto's 90 miles away.
Right, you could see it from.
I can see it from Lewiston.
See it from Lewiston.
Yeah, beautifully.
We could have boats going from one side to the other, bridges.
It's like we're afraid. It's like the city. They're afraid of it's almost. I feel like I've heard the excuse of tech is it's like. They're too scared to even go that route because it's like, we can only be how we were. They think of being successful 100 years ago. But you know what I mean?
This reminds me of the people still with horses and carriages.
Yeah,
and horses and carriage houses going, screw those carriageless vehicles. And Henry Ford is stupid.
Right.
That is us.
But
that's the era that we're now living in right now. But it's not technology anymore. That era has already become, we already have our information superhighway. Now we're utilizing the car, which is now the internet. Now we have the infrastructure. Now we're using it for everyday business.
Right.
And now the podcast, the social media, the websites, the online ordering, now that's going to go into hypergrowth in the next 30 years because the internet's been around since the 60s, shocker, and it went public in the 80s and the 90s, and the smartphone's been around since 07. So this is old school news. We're now adapting, pre and post pandemic into a society that doesn't have to touch each other because we haven't had to touch each other for 30 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I'm so glad to have you here tonight because one thing we wanted to talk about is how you're superior in change management. Like you're very You know, that's what exactly that's what we need. We need someone who actually has experience, because you, like you said, who you've worked with before and what you've experienced in different cities can work here. I mean,
yeah, no, and what he reminds me of someone, and it was a guy who was here, and this is politics. His name was Kevin Gaughan, I think. And he went around and he was telling different, like, let's say, I don't know who, Grand Island, whatever. It should have been Niagara Falls, but he's saying you have too much government. Yep. You need to scale back, and you need to combine, because you don't need to have 5 councilmen here in Niagara Falls, 3 in town of Niagara, whatever in North Town. We need to do this. Yeah. They hated him.
Tons of layers of government here. Yeah. I mean, so from Niagara Falls to Lockport, which is a 30-minute drive, I probably go through 5 municipalities.
I know. Yeah, you do. Yes,
and how many people are in those? Like, not enough to justify it anymore.
We don't need this many legislators. I mean, there's 5, I think, from Niagara Falls. We don't need them. And that's what you remind me of, because you were saying some people here have told you to just leave.
Unfortunately,
because they don't want to. Because they're scared. You're scaring them, I would assume. And that guy, that's why he brought up. I felt the same thing, because I interviewed him long time ago on WJJL, and it was kind of the same thing, and I loved the ideas. I mean, he wanted to do it's kind of similar,
right.
I know it's a different way, but he just thought we should combine everything. You don't need this much stuff.
Well, no, you
in
don't.
Corporate America, we'd call it breaking down silos or barriers. We're insulated and isolated. One, back in the day, it was harder for the East Coast. So they needed microgovernments and towns and villages. And I didn't know that the town of Lockport and the city of Lockport were 2 different entities. Because when I moved, I was like, I called the city, not the town. I was like, wait a minute. Like, one city. And I'm used to, San Antonio, which is half the size of Erie County all alone. And then there's good and bad with all of it. And I think we have to understand Sure, Amazon, there might have been some negative impacts, but the positive impacts would have outweighed. Pros versus cons. We need more people here. We need more jobs here. We need better skills here. How, and why haven't we done it? And the people in control are comfortable, and the people that are starving are silent here.
Yeah.
Right.
No, absolutely.
To look at the commentary, I just want to read by Kevin Hutchinson. He said, and I love the Winter Gardens. The Winter Garden and the Rainbow Mall, the Festival of Lights, which I loved as a kid, the ice rink at the convention center. It was great. And, but, he was saying how when he was young, he didn't know about this. And then also he said how Mayor Deister told his daughter when she asked about why aren't we, like, at least a little bit similar to Canada in our how it is, and he allegedly said because we put energy into individual instead of being green and catering to tourists. When
I've heard of that too, where to get something done in Niagara Falls, in Canada, the question is, so how is it going to deepen the relationship and enhance the tourism experience? Where here, there's so many, we'll just call them fiefdoms, because they're thieving from us, both Native American to elected officials. They all want their piece of the pie. So we all say here, there's plenty of pie around. I'm like, the pie's getting smaller and smaller, and people are trying to take more. So I think we need to change our mindset and go, what's in it for the community? Because if my community is better, then I have more opportunity. Therefore, I will be better. Not where's my $5 or 500 or 5 million? Right. I don't want another park being built that I need to maintain. I need an infrastructure of increasing education, enhancing the tourism experience, bringing more renewable money. It's almost like sometimes I feel like I'm in a twilight zone here, because the acceptance of Central Terminal in Buffalo, right? I've seen 3 stories where we were given $5 million to that place, and it keeps failing. Like,
that was supposed to open like last year, wasn't it?
Why don't we go to Tesla, who's here, and say, hey, Nikola Tesla created electricity here. Elon, wouldn't it be cool to create a museum? Like, we have this abandoned place here.
Beautiful.
Why don't we just give it to you, and then you do whatever you want with it? Just create some jobs and bring more. No, because no one's smart enough to just offer up. They want what's in it for me first. Where if we had the most premier Tesla museum with the most premier car company and technology, guess how many people would come just to experience that?
Right.
You know, there's the ideas, there's not a lack of ideas.
Right.
We have a beautiful story to tell. We have great history. We have great infrastructure. We could turn Erie Canal into the Riverwalk or the Venice tourism. I mean, we could do a lot of things, but the people in control don't want to give their money. They want to just keep taking money.
Right. Like that. Yeah. And they're just, they're just complacent with it and are fine with it. And we need to, I feel like, the people who really do want change, and we need to really fight and I think really speak out about it. And I think it's just getting together and actually trying to make an idea work. That's our issue too, maybe. That this is another platform we're trying to get people to wake up or speak out, and we can go from here, on what we can try and do. But it sucks that money and the people in power are,
Well, think about the vote. We had a vote here for mayor or whatever. I mean, we do have 40-some thousand. I'm not sure how many are registered to vote, but whatever. I mean, we're getting numbers like it would be at a big high school in Texas or something that are showing up.
My graduating class was 1,000 kids.
I mean,
mine was 50.
We're just so we're just so like you said, Blake. We're just silent. Those that aren't a part of the pie, and it's very divided here economically. Let's not look at the color of our skin. I mean, I know.
It's because color and race and religion, like I get it. There's a lot of taboo around it.
I always say culture divides, not.
But what really divides us is the rich and the poor.
Yes.
And there's a lot of rich here. And there's a growing poor here, and the middle class is getting cut out.
Yeah.
And I just wish we had an advocacy group. We had a community, and we also understood that for us to grow, we need to connect with the other little regions. Niagara Falls and Lockport together.
Right.
That's like a different. No, like Niagara Falls, Lockport, Buffalo, Hamburg, Rochester, Batavia, Medina. Like, if we all join together, we're still not big enough to even be a national player. But you know what? We're big enough for maybe some local government and mayors and people to listen to us, because, there's tens of thousands of us, not a few hundred of us.
Right.
Yeah, no.
It's all about joining up.
Yep.
And
common mission, common goal.
There's this thing that people say is going on now. It's the Great Awakening of people really realizing. I think it's more of like maybe even my generation and the younger one. They're just kind of like really like, what? Like, this is the way in which we live, or how we live our lives. Like, I always say this, like, I don't want to, like, because I had a family member who, worked their butts off at a job that they were okay with, but, it wasn't their dream. They get retirement and they dropped and passed. Yep. And so many people, you work your whole life, and then, for retirement, when that's not your peak years of living anyway. But it's like, I always tell people, I don't care what you say, but I want to have a career that I wake up and actually am happy to. I don't want to dread my work. I couldn't live like that, and I can't. And I think people are finally saying, like, we can't do that because we're just going to go nuts.
That mindset has shifted. That's the West Coast mindset of it. The job is an acronym, just over broke, right?
Right.
The job mindset of, I'm going to start a career, I'm going to put my head down, I'm going to get a 401k, I'm going to get, like, that's gone. I worked for ADP for a little bit, and 1 in 7 millennials, or no, 1.7 years is the average life of a millennial's career. So, if you're under 40, chances are every 2 years you're changing a job now. Mm-hmm. And here in some of the areas, it's a little bit different. But this job mindset is shifting into gig economy. Mm-hmm. And this is why your brand needs to align, your personal brand needs to align, because the reason why I've survived is because I've been in digital and technology my whole life. So people hear who I am, what I am, and actually Fortune 500 companies have seeked me out and asked me to apply for jobs. So it's just a different mindset. People still think they need to put their head down, study, get a master's degree, and get a lifetime career. But unfortunately, those are slipping away.
Yeah, they're
slipping away.
I think in the back of my head, that's really what I always thought of in high school and even in college. I'm just like, that the way of thinking that they're teaching us, I'm like, it doesn't apply to us. And there's no slow integration of learning what you're saying, so.
Well, the future of like Blake, your kids that are here and some of the kids that come in and they're it. I think if they got to do it, my kids, if
the millennials can't, and
these
Gen
kids
Z,
they know everything. They're so much better than I could ever be when it comes. I mean, kids are walking in the door and just doing this stuff here. All of a sudden they're becoming technicians. Yeah. I mean, they're just walked in, and here's here's the kid doing the stuff that I would be a nervous wreck a little bit doing because of my age and lack of thing. They're just ready to go. So. They're really they're my last hope. You know what I mean, Blake? I think they're
no, for sure. I got to experience at a young age a computer, so these things don't intimidate me. What does intimidate me is the fact that I feel so far behind, and I grew up with it.
Yeah.
I mean, I grew up with computers that were 286s and sometimes older on bulletin boards that were $3,000 to $5,000, fixing them, repairing them. And I've seen in 30 years the technology world shift. It's not break and fix anymore. It's break and replace. It's the change and the momentum is going so quick that, our kids, I mean, we can easily get our message out here. Now the differentiator is what's, the political noise, what's the propaganda noise, and what's the truth. And without the money, it's really hard to get that truth out. So that's where I hope we can all join together and unite our voices to say, look, we're here to change the community. We're here to grow and rise the tide together. Some of us may or may not have money. That's not a problem. Some of us may be on this political side or that political side or this religion or that religion. That doesn't matter. We all need to have a safe, livable community for our kids to grow up in, or else we'll leave. And I'm will leave.
Yeah. Right. Are you?
No. Oh, there we go. Yep. I mean, I got to grow up. See, I mean, there's pros and cons, of course, because I got to grow up with like imagination and no technology really. And then once I got to middle school, that's when MySpace came out and the internet really started becoming just like, what teens and younger people did. So I grew up and I unfortunately, the whole LimeWire and Frostware thing, we had to go through that, which is, before the deep web and all that. But so I got to kind of grow up like, with imagination, which is such a good thing, because I see my little cousins and it's sometimes they can't like deal without having a iPad or some type of technology. So I got to learn, like, I got to grow up without technology and then grow into it. And but like I said, there's pros and cons, and I think them being able to just, like I said, your children just walked in and your son's just boom automatically, like it would probably even take me just a couple test tries to do stuff, and it's a great ability to have, and especially with tech. I mean, you said, this could really help our city out and the area around us, and if they're good, if their generation's very good at it, then that's just a better chance.
It's our own. I believe it. It's our only chance. I mean, my and I think Blake's generation, I mean, not to say anything, I mean, we're doing things, but they're going to really do things because I was always hoping that my generation was different. And I made a comment one time to you, and I didn't think you guys liked it. I think it was on Dante was here. And I said, things aren't going to get better until people my age are dead, until they die away, or like they gotta go. Because
John, I hope we're the first generation that is sick and tired of it.
That's what I hope too. But I keep seeing people that are my age acting like my dad's dead, but he was born in 1933, and they're acting like. I mean, I listen to it. They're acting like it's I don't.
Well, give a man a little bit of power and see what they do.
Right.
Like then I get to see what you're really about.
I just want I think it's unfortunate, like generationally, you have because I know that a lot of people point this out, not just like people my age, but they always say a lot of the generation before the millennials, we kind of got the shit under the stick to say it bluntly, because I'm not 100, I see this all the time, like that we don't have that opportunity or they always say it's not the right timing, we kind of got left with I feel like some passion Christians didn't think of the future really as much as they want to say children are the future.
Don't let the millennial excuse stop you.
Right,
Because
and I hate
got
that
great
excuse.
opportunity.
Right.
It's just a new set of challenges that the older generation doesn't understand. Like, we're suffering with actually less war and less famine and less, but it's easier for us to be distracted, so it seems like more. It's now we're almost in a mental warfare instead of a physical warfare. And, the smart ones are figuring it out. Really, they are. The smart ones are waking up. The smart ones are listening. The smart ones resonate to shows. As soon as I saw you guys, I was like, oh, my God, I got to meet these guys. Like, I'm so excited. Someone's actually having this conversation in Western New York. Yay. But, it comes with a lot of resistance. And resistance is really hard, especially if people say, get out of here, stop, just be the same. And I was like, well, unfortunately, that's not what works. Being different, look at Apple, look at Amazon, look at local winners here, Wegmans, and look at, what they've done. Like, they didn't do it by being the same.
Right.
Right. Are we good? Okay. No, I worked for Wegmans, and yeah, they've done amazing. I just think that it's it's very refreshing to hear this from you. I'm so glad you're on because this is how we can get started, and that's been my issue personally. Is I'm like I would love to meet someone who knows how to jumpstart this change, because we can talk about change till we're blue in the face, but being able to do it and have the right resources. So I'm very happy that you're here, because I think our listeners need to hear this, our city needs to hear this, and I hope that we can reach more people. And by you being here, I know you have a good following too.
I've seen 2 cities do it, so. I've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly. I've seen the wins, the losses, some things behind the scenes. The challenge that I see here is we need more people united. The massive number, the trigger that helped in San Antonio, which had a population of 2 million, was 10,000 people. So I don't know what the number is here, but we need more than a few hundred. I know that we should be shooting for a few thousand entrepreneurs, small business, technology, forward-thinking visionaries that want change, and we need a unified group for us all to have these sort of conversations. So thanks for even having the show. I mean, it's amazing.
Of course, I feel like this could be, I hope, the show and the group that can maybe get this going. Really. Sure.
Yeah, and I know we're going to be wrapping it up. I got to say one thing though about all that. Yowawa Media and Peter Green here. I mean, it is. We've never had this before,
right?
In Niagara,
it's an amazing new platform.
We had people trying to do something, but we never had it to where Peter just brings people in to just hear their voice, and bringing us all together. So I think we're on the right track.
Yeah.
Right.
Definitely.
We're starting.
Yeah. And my friend and Peter Green here has really just changed in a short time. Has changed a lot. Because
6 months?
has changed a lot of things. Because and one thing I do appreciate, and I think everyone could, is that Peter is from somewhere else. He's from Canada. He's here, and no one has anything they can take from Peter. So we do what we got to do.
Yeah.
All right, but you go ahead, Johnny. I'll let you wrap it up.
No, I'm just so happy that like I said, I'm so thankful for Yowawa Media, and I remember reaching out to Peter, and being I'm very interested. I love to learn, and of course I love to talk, so that's why I'm on the podcast. But I love to. I really do want change, and I want a world that's like I want to live in a reality that's not like I'm always thinking of like I wish, I hope for this and that. I want to actually live in a city where like we can start at least instead of just dreaming about it. And I just think having you, Blake, on here just brought out a lot of minds. I think a lot of minds people are going to wake up a bit more maybe and feel more comfortable and confident because there's ways that we can go about it now. You brought up a lot of amazing experiences that you've went through and points, and I hope that we can. I'm sure we'll have you on again, but I hope that we, we can all join up and really talk about this and make this a thing and not just like dinner talk.
It starts with conversation first, and then conversation. They all say talk is cheap, so let's continue the conversation because we need to have it.
Right.
What actions are we going to take that are meaningful? just utilizing the studio for internships, and that there's so much fuel that's already here that once it starts joining forces, I mean, there's a place right down the street from you guys that needs to be connected.
Right.
There's too much division, and the unity will be created with technology.
Well,
Thank you.
Thank you,
I
Blake.
have.
Thanks, guys.
I feel a bit better about our because
Yeah.
you're always told, like, when you leave Niagara Falls, we hope you do this. It's never, it's everybody always says, it's almost like, when you leave here, you're going to do bigger and better things instead of, we can't wait for you to do bigger and better things for our
Right here.
city,
Yeah.
and so this is a start, this platform and like-minded people and people who want this change. And I just wanted to thank everybody once again for viewing Niagara Voices. I want to thank my co-host, John Restaino, and our
Anytime.
special guest, Blake.
Yep.
Thank you.
Last name, I'm sorry, I want to make
Lemoi.
sure. Lemoi. Blake Lemoi for being a guest on our show, and I hope that we can further change and just bring positivity to our city. And did you want to say anything else, John?
All I'm going to say is watch my show on Wednesday
Yeah.
at 6 o'clock.
Wednesday at
Citizens
6.
United.
And tune in tomorrow at 5 for Dante's show.
Yes.
I believe it's called
I forget.
That's
That's all right.
Black Reality Unscripted. Thank you, Peter. Yes, very interesting show as well. All the shows on here are amazing. So keep watching, and we'll see you next Friday at 7 p.m. And have a great night.
Good night.